We're leaving the land of icy roads and snowstorms for the promise of sandy beaches and sunshine. And we're taking our family of 5 on the adventure of a lifetime. Follow along as we explore the culture, lifestyle, and everything needed to adapt to a new way of living as Canadian expats in Costa Rica. Live the pure Uvita right here on Costa Venturas.
So we're here. We made it.
We made it.
We're alive.
Well, we should probably introduce ourselves first.
That's Brad.
Me llamo Brad.
Me llamo Eve.
Hola. ¿Cómo está? We're the Deans. We just made it here a couple of weeks ago from Hamilton, Ontario, actually Stony Creek, Ontario in Canada. It was a harrowing adventure, to say the least. We had a whole bunch of things happen on our way down, and we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about the lead up, we'll talk about our actual travel down here, and then we'll talk a little bit about acclimating to the culture and the lifestyle and all that kind of fun stuff down here as well.
So after we decided we didn't want to be part of winter anymore, we started doing research, watching other YouTube videos and other people who have created channels who have come to Costa Rica just to learn more about what it's like to be an expat here, what kinds of things are available here that we're used to having up in North America. And we felt confident enough from the videos that we saw. One was like Permaculture and also the Dufresnes. They made so many videos and those were really helpful. And they're a family of 4, which helped us because we're a family of 5. So we wanted to know what it was like to have children and raise them in a completely different country.
Yeah.
So we found those videos quite helpful.
Yeah, and we've seen videos from people that live all over the country, more so in sort of the dry, beachy, touristy areas in Guanacaste, like in Nosara and Samara, even Tamarindo and that kind of thing. So we're in a completely different area. We're on the west coast, but we're in Puntarenas Province in Uvita, which is more on the southwest coast. So there are so many different regions and climates in the country. So even though we did a ton of research and we ended up focusing on this area, it's a lot different than some of the information that we had gotten from other areas in the country.
Yeah. Currently we are up in the mountains at 1,000 feet above sea level. And we're in the jungle. We're on a mountain in the jungle. We have vultures flying ahead at the moment. There's salamanders everywhere, but I think that's kind of everywhere in Costa Rica.
There was literally, like 10 minutes ago, there was a monkey or something that just like ran down the hill. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's neat. We also get a great breeze here up in the mountain, pretty constant, which is great. It's a lot quieter because we're quite remote. Have to get a 4x4 vehicle to get up here, for sure. You wouldn't make it if you didn't have 4x4.
Yeah. One other thing to note is that right now it's just the start of October, and we are in the rainy season in Costa Rica. So that was, the weather and temperature and sunrise and sunset, like all those kinds of things were a lot for us to sort of acclimate to. Like essentially you have 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of nighttime every single day, which after the fact makes complete sense because we're close to the equator. So, but yeah, so typically the sun will come up it'll start coming up sometime around like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And your sort of natural circadian rhythm just gets you up at that time. So we were surprised because normally back home we'd probably get up at 6:30, 7 o'clock or something like that, and we're getting up like 2 hours before that naturally here, and it feels fine. And then it starts to get dark, in and around 4:30, 5 o'clock at night, and you're having dinner, and you get used to that kind of change, and then also rain.
Yeah, well, actually at nighttime, it is black night at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Every day of the year. So that's an adjustment coming from Canada and coming from the temperate zone where you're used to varying degrees of light and dark throughout the year. So that was just a big adjustment automatically to be down here in this tropical climate, and then 6 p.m. and it's dark, which made me immediately think of being at home in December when we have the least amount of light. So that's neat, but like I feel we have adjusted more to how much light and how much nighttime that we have.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's not bad. Like it also like we're in the middle of rainy season, so it rains quite a bit here. So you have nice portions of the day like this. Usually it happens in the beginning of the day. Like the first half of the day is nice and sunny and it's nice out. And then like the second half of the day, it rains for most of the day. But it's not like a gloomy rain. It's back home we would call this a sun shower. So it's actually still pretty sunny. It's nice out. You just you go from light rain to big storming rain. But it still feels nice because the weather is warm enough, and you still get a nice breeze, and it still feels good. So it's kind of hard to explain, but even like when you would get weather like this back home, you kind of shut down and get inside, and everything's over. And here, you get the same kind of weather, but you feel okay about it, and it still feels like a nice day.
The rain's warm,
Yeah.
which is nice. Versus being up in Canada, a lot of times when it rains, the rain is cold.
Yeah.
So that's unpleasant. And we're lucky in the place that we're staying, we have an outdoor living room. So we can enjoy the fresh air and not feel like we have to run inside because we have a covered area that we can sit, and we have all our meals there. We can sit and just chat with the kids. They can still go in the pool when it's raining as long as there's no lightning. And so it's great.
Yeah, and we're kind of bouncing all over the place here. This is sort of our first general video. In future we'll do some more specialized videos on different things that we've come across and things that might be helpful. We're kind of bouncing all over here because we just encountered almost everything that you could possibly think of in our first 2 weeks here. So we'll talk a little bit about everything, but going back to some of our preparation in coming down here, one of the things that we recommend as well is to reach out to people locally over Facebook and WhatsApp, join different types of groups. I personally have a group. We have our page for Costa Ventura. We also have a group page called Fly to the Coast, and there's a great community there of people who are providing a lot of helpful information and that kind of thing. Make as many friends as you can ahead of time, get a feel for the different types of people that are here. It takes a village. So, we certainly didn't make it down here all on our own. We had a lot of help from a lot of people, guiding us in the right direction, giving us solid information, helpful links and tips, and lawyers and realtors and, travel guides, and we'll provide links to a bunch of the friends that we made and that we've gotten to meet, and some we haven't met yet. But we'll provide links to some of those helpful people who are just awesome people and have been really great to us, so that you can reach out to them as well.
To get down here was a minor miracle. Just even booking a flight was a challenge in itself. We had booked through a Canadian company, and then 3 weeks before, they canceled the flight. And then at that point, Brad thought he would decide to join forces and then open a charter company, and started researching how to start a charter company for flights, and was consumed by that on top of the rest of his daily work. And then United Airlines started offering flights. So when that happened, we decided to jump on board with that, book some flights, and went through all of the hoops that we had to do to get all of the requirements to come here. We had to have a negative COVID test that you have to have taken 72 hours before your departure. And you had to fill out the Passe de Salut, which was like your health records.
Epidemiology report. You have to provide your insurance, which, at the time, really the only viable option for us was Grupo INS, which is a local insurance company in Costa Rica. The guidelines for insurance requirements are very specific and very stringent. You can look them up on the Costa Rica Embassy entry requirements, which we'll link to as well. And we ended up working with a local broker to help us through that. There are other, now that we're in Costa Rica, there are other options available to us. Just the one alternate option was not available while we were physically still in Canada. So there's a whole bunch of information there that, make sure you research, make sure you figure that out, because there's huge price differences, and the regulations for entry, the requirements for entry are very strict, very stringent. So you want to make sure you have that sewn up pretty good.
Yeah, not just the flight tickets to get in and your insurance and your negative COVID test, but you also have to have proof that you are planning to leave.
Yep.
So you have to make sure that you take that into account to provide that proof to the airlines.
Immigration.
And
the airlines,
or they
yeah.
won't let you on. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a company out there called Onward Ticket, and their website is onwardticket.com. And so what they do is they provide you with a legitimate return ticket that is valid for about 48 hours. And then after that 48 hours, it automatically cancels itself. So it costs about $12 a ticket. It's all the proof you need to come in, because what happens is you come through immigration, they're going to give your passport a stamp. They could give you any amount of time. Typically, they give you 90 days. Right now, because of COVID, anyone that gets in before the end of October will automatically, they'll give you a 90-day pass, but then they're going to let you stay until at least March 2nd, I believe. So you get an automatic extension on that because of COVID, and they may extend it past that as well. But they could potentially give you, who knows, 30 days or something like that. But either way, you need to be able to show proof that you plan on leaving the country, because you can't just have a one-way ticket in and have no way of getting out. So onwardticket.com is a really helpful resource for that. We used it. We helped some other people with that as well, and they used it, and it's worked well for everybody that we've talked to. Yeah. So complications with travel for us, is very complicated, especially because of COVID, because the main requirement for getting in that everybody's talking about is the COVID test result in the 72-hour window. So that gets really difficult, because in Canada and in a lot of places in the US, you cannot get a testing facility to guarantee when you will receive your results. We went into a small town hospital, which was, prior to us going in, was returning results within 12 to 24 hours regularly. So we thought we were good. And we got our tests done on Thursday, expecting to fly out on Saturday, and thought we would be fine. We didn't actually get our test posted until Sunday afternoon. So we were able to take our first flight from Toronto to Newark. Somehow we negotiated with the gentleman at the check-in for Air Canada, and he said, if you go down and you don't get your health result, or if it comes in positive, then you have to deal with that. And we said, yep, we understand, we agree to that. And so we went down expecting to get our results, at the latest by the time our flight left the next morning, with a 12-hour layover. Did not come in. It was, I cannot tell you, as a family of 5 with our kids in the airport and running around, and the uncertainty, I cannot explain how much of a nightmare that was. So,
and running on very little sleep.
Very little sleep. Our entire trip, it ended up being a 3-day thing to endure. It was very difficult, very challenging, lots of frustration, lots of tears, lots of, no sleep. And just feeling like you're disappointing the kids and that kind of thing. So, we did everything by the book, to the letter, and it still took a minor miracle to get everything through.
Yeah, we were able to reschedule our flight for the following Monday morning, and Brad got in touch with Outlier Legal to confirm that it was still okay for us to connect to that flight the next day, which was great. So we got on the flight in Newark to another stopover in Houston, and then from there, as we were getting off that plane to board our plane that would fly down to Costa Rica, at that gate, the woman at the gate was telling us no, we couldn't go in because it didn't have the date of the 18th. And I burst into
results.
tears.
Yeah.
I just couldn't take it anymore. Burst into tears, and it was just like, no, we have to get on this plane. We have no home. We sold our home. We uprooted our children. We have to get on this plane. And somewhere on our form, she saw the 18th, and she was like, yep, absolutely. And it was like,
Yeah.
thank God. Okay,
Yeah.
we're boarding the plane. And I just sat and cried for a little bit.
Now we also like you have to have the is the passe de salud.
The Passe de Salud?
Passe de salud filled out. So that's your health check. As a part of that, when we filled that out, we did fill it out with our new rebooked flight. So originally we were Toronto to Newark, Newark to San Jose, but because we missed the Newark to San Jose, we had to stay another night on airport grounds. We had to stay on airport grounds, otherwise it would have been an immigration issue, and we probably wouldn't have gotten in. But we rebooked for the next day for Monday from now Newark to Houston and then Houston to San Jose. And when we filled out the Passe de Salud, we entered in the new flight information, and it did give us a pass with a passing QR code. So, we were hopeful that would be okay. We landed in San Jose. We got past the Houston check-in. We landed in San Jose. We were in line at immigration, and we just see people in front of us having their code scanned, and just being walked off, presumably to be in holding somewhere or to be just put on the next flight right back. So, it was very nerve-wracking for us to be in line at immigration and see other people who were being turned away. And then they got to us and they scanned our codes and they came up fine. And then we went to the immigration officer and were nervous as hell standing there, and they took our passport and our Passe de Salud checks, scanned everything, and then stamped the one passport. Good to go. Stamp 2, 3, 4, and then we were just waiting for the fifth one, because if four out of 5 of us went through, and then for some reason one of us didn't, for whatever reason, then we're all sunk and we have to go home together. So we were just waiting for that fifth one. Fifth stamp comes down. I almost started bawling my eyes out. Immediately went to duty free and bought scotch and beer because I hadn't really drank at all for like the 2 months leading up to this, because I just needed every ounce of my brain power to be able to make this happen. So I can't stress enough, like, have all your ducks in a row, have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Make sure you have backup. Make sure you, like Evie mentioned earlier, Rafael from Outlier Legal Services was great counsel to us on the way. I highly recommend that you reach out to them, and we'll provide a link to Outlier Legal as well, to their Facebook page and website. They provide constant updates on everything that's going on right now with all kinds of legal items that refer to Costa Rica and the COVID and immigration and residency and all that kind of stuff, and they've been really super helpful. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So then we got into San Jose, and we met for the first time.
No, not even that. We got into San Jose, and then we went to go collect our luggage,
Yeah.
and our luggage was left in Newark.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah,
Just another layer.
under normal circumstances, I feel like having an airline not deliver, like not having your luggage, your main luggage from a big trip like that would be a big deal. Compared to everything else, it was like, we don't even care. We don't even care right now. Like, keep our luggage. Like, we made it. Holy hell. Like, by comparison, it was not that big a deal. And we did end up getting our luggage like 4 days later. And our friend Christian, who was at the special luggage services counter, was super helpful and got in touch with us, and was able to get in touch with us on Facebook, and had our number, and was able to take care of things pretty quickly for us. So thank you, Christian, for that as well. But yeah, so then we get into San Jose, we find out we don't have our luggage, all good, we're together, we're safe. We probably went through 3 gallons of sterilizer on the way down, and our masks, and just tried to stay as safe as possible. And then for the first time we met our new friend Hermes.
Yeah. We hired Hermes to come pick us up from the airport. He has a big sort of tourist bus.
Yeah.
Kind of bus truck like thing.
Yeah.
So it was able to fit hopefully all of our luggage, but it wasn't there, so wasn't that big of a deal for luggage, but fit all 5 of us in and be able to navigate San Jose driving and streets, and he knows where he's going, so that was great. And he was able to make stops on the way we needed to stop. And
Super accommodating.
yeah, really nice guy. Stop and have a meal finally, because we woke up at 2:30 in the morning and we hadn't eaten. I think we ate after we landed, which was maybe around 3:34. So we hadn't eaten for 12 hours, and we're driving, and the roads here are kind of twisty and turvy.
They're crazy.
They're crazy. So that plus not eating for a long time resulted in a lot of nausea for most of us. I don't think you felt nauseous. Everybody else felt nauseous. So we finally stopped, had a meal. That was great. And then proceeded to go towards Uvita, and then we made a stop at a grocery store so we could get a few supplies. And then we got into Uvita, I don't know what time.
It was like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it was dark.
Yeah.
And then we met the owners of the place that we're renting, Ken and Hailey, and they met us down the mountain.
Yep.
And then transferred all of our things into their 2 vehicles, and then they drove us up to the house that we're staying in.
Yep. They were super helpful as well, and they, Ken and Hailey took us out, I think it was the very next day, took us into a local bigger city called San Isidro, for a supply run, so that we could go and get, all the groceries that we needed, and clothing, because we didn't have our
shampoo,
just all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
they were great, and then took us to their favorite restaurant, and it was Saboro. It's an Italian eatery in San Isidro, which was great. Amazing pizza, amazing potato wedges and that kind of thing. Yeah, and so we again, going back to make good connections before you come down here. It's really important, and there are so many wonderful people here that are willing to help. Roseanne from Costa Rica Bound, and Wendy, who is a local realtor as well. There are so many people on our group, and in the Costa Rica Bound group and Costa Rica Expats group. There's probably 50 different groups, but there are a few that are just really exceptional and really helpful. So go in those groups, meet new people. Everybody is super helpful, and everybody's here in this together and trying to do the same thing. So you'll find that really helpful as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next we want to talk a little bit about, we're here, we made it, we're safe, we've got some supplies, and now it's just time to start acclimating to the lifestyle and culture and climate and all that kind of stuff here.
Yeah. For the most part, I am gluten intolerant, and so is our eldest son. So I have found that there are a few items, even in the smaller supermercado, which is grocery store or supermarket. I found a few items there. It was hard to find cream for coffee.
There's no cream here.
There's no cream. They just looked at me like, huh?
Yeah.
What's cream?
I don't think you can get it anywhere. I think there's a workaround that somebody's come up with to make cream while you're down here. They have International Delights, which is flavored kind of cream, but they don't have just straight coffee cream here or table cream at all. Yeah,
and their cream that they do have, that I did finally find at the small supermercado in Uvita, it is 35% cream, but it is in a Tetra Pak on the shelf, which is so bizarre, because we're used to all of our dairy being in the fridge. When they're eggs are kept out at room temperature here. So that's new, and just a lot of little things. Even just finding spices that you're used to having. I did find that the prices were a little more than we're used to for a lot of the regular things that we had, but as far as meat and regular milk, I found that pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
if not less expensive. A lot of fruits and vegetables and stuff like that is definitely less expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're in, whatever smaller town, if you're in Uvita, or if you're in, if you are in Guanacaste and you're in Samara or Nosara or that kind of thing, or Dominical, or, Golfito or whatever it is, most of these little towns will have like a decent grocery store or two. They'll have a bank or two. They'll have a hardware store or two, like that kind of stuff. So all your like regular necessities and that kind of stuff are usually fine for local. When you get into any kind of specialty items, like maybe specialty types of foods or equipment or electronics, like for video lighting and stands and that kind of thing that I wasn't able to bring down, even computer monitors. We had to take a trip into San Jose, which from us is like a good 4-hour drive, which we hooked up with Hermes again, and he helped us out, which was great. We do have a rental vehicle here, but by the time we get all 5 of us in there, there's no room for supplies. So Hermes was able to come out on a day's notice and help us out with that, which was incredible. And as well, right now, you may be seeing in the news or on Facebook that there are protests all across the country right now with regards to a proposed tax hike. So the Costa Rican people right now have had a really hard time with COVID because one of their primary exports is tourism. So because there aren't, usually there's tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people that come down throughout the year. Right now that's not happening because of COVID. So all of these different tourism-based businesses, restaurants and travel guides and adventure days and like all this other kind of stuff, they're not making any money. And so they're having a really hard time making ends meet. And then the government all of a sudden comes in and wants to impose a tax hike. And it's crazy. So, of course, the Costa Rican people are pushing back on that. And by doing so, they're shutting down a lot of bridges and main roads all throughout the country. So that makes it very difficult to travel if you need to go to a bigger city to get supplies. But
or even just to see more of the country.
Or just to travel, right? Which is what we intend to do as well. Hermes was a huge help with us for that as well. Just being able to navigate the different back roads that we might be able to get around some of the blockages, and then knowing, having a networking connection of other drivers. So in one instance we were proposing the idea of getting to one of the blockages, and then having one of his contacts on the other side of the blockage meet us there, and then we could just walk through because they were only not letting vehicles through. And then his other driver would pick us up on the other side and continue the trip. So, again, can't recommend him highly enough. He's fantastic and really saved our butts with everything going on right now. But that is a main consideration is getting around right now to, outside of whatever region you're in is very difficult at the moment. We're not sure how long these protests are going to go on. So something you want to be mindful of with your trip. Do you want to talk about the wildlife here?
Yeah. So I don't like bugs at all, which is a strange thing for me to decide to go to a country that has the most bugs ever and ones that are bigger than my face. So I knew coming down here that I would have to adjust, that I would have to essentially anticipate at any moment there was going to be a big scary bug that wanted to meet me. So I have been doing that, and we have met a few. First morning, Brad woke up and he went to go make breakfast, and you grabbed a pineapple and you met Monsieur
Tarantula. Yes. Yeah, I grabbed the pineapple from the headstock and I put it down on the counter to get ready to cut it. And as soon as I set it down on the counter, right where my hand was, there was just a big legs just crawling right away from my hand. And I kind of just let go and step back, and I was like, all right, tarantula, we're in it. That was morning one.
Yep.
And but then after the initial sort of shock of, oh, that's the first time I've ever seen a tarantula in real life, and it was right next to my hand. After that initial shock went away, I was just like, he's fine. He's just trying to get away from me because I messed up his little environment. He was hanging out all cozy on the pineapple on the counter, and I screwed up his afternoon.
Yeah, I'm glad it was you and not me.
Yeah.
Because I would have screamed for sure. I've realized that I'm not as scared of them if they're just over there and I can see them hanging out. Like there's a golden orb
spider
hanging out
like 6 feet away.
Yeah.
And he's been there for like a week. She's been there for a week, and she's cool. She's just hanging out catching flies.
Yeah.
Not bothering anybody.
And we've seen a few of the other golden orbs around, and there was another larger, creepy-looking spider up on the ceiling, like the outdoor ceiling the other day, and it didn't. I wasn't scared because it was like, oh, it's over there. I'll go take a look at it and see maybe what kind it is. Is it one of the ones that can kill us? It's good to know, because the Brazilian wandering spider, its venom can kill you, so it's good to identify all the serious ones. With this rental, we were very fortunate to have someone that comes to the house and clean once a week, and I had asked her, like, do you know what kind of spider that is? And she kind of giggled at me, and she came over and she just swatted it away with a broom like it was nothing, and I was like, oh, okay, great, that's wonderful, good.
Yep. And speaking of, local friends coming to our rescue and helping us out and helping us figure this stuff out, I was working in a different part of the house and downstairs, and I had the screen door open, so I was just sitting basically outside, and then Evie came down to let me know she was heading out with the kids, and so I turned around, and as I was talking to her, we saw a snake coming out of the grass onto the tile patio area towards us. And so looked at it, and I'd never seen a snake like that before. It was maybe 2.5 feet long, something like that. But we'd been told about snakes in the area. You have to be careful. Again, figure out what's dangerous and what isn't. This one did have a diamond-shaped head, so we were told in particular that snakes typically that have diamond-shaped heads are no good. So we jumped into the room, closed the screen door, and it kept coming at us. I'll show a little bit of video of that, and then it slithered into the track of the door and then just disappeared.
Yeah, you were scared.
It freaked me right out.
Yeah.
More so because we now knew that there was this. We were pretty confident that it was a poisonous snake, yeah. And now we had no idea where it was.
And we weren't sure if there was somehow that the snake could get under the track and into the room somehow, so that was a little concerning. And we didn't really have any weapons in the room. We had like
Nothing.
A tripod, that was it,
yeah.
And like cardboard. What's cardboard going to do against a poisonous snake? So waited for a couple minutes, didn't see anything happen, and then our children were upstairs in the carport because I was about to leave, and I was like, I can't sit in this room all day waiting for a snake to show its face and have our children potentially come down, and then the snake comes out. So grabbed the tripod, I extended the legs, slowly opened the door, just prepared to see if like it just stuffed its head out. I would have like smacked it with the tripod or tried to fling it. Opened the door slowly, didn't see anything, opened a little more, jumped through, yeah. And then I had to encourage you to jump through as well, and then you did.
I thought it was a terrible idea.
Yeah,
but I also didn't know the kids were in the car. I thought
yeah.
They were in the house upstairs. So I was like, why would they come down here? They've never come down here, but they were in the car. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so encourage you to hop through. You did, and then I went upstairs to check on the kids, went out to the store, came back to find you downstairs holding the pool skimmer and a meat cleaver.
That's all I had.
That's all he had. It was a very funny sight to see him in flip-flops, cleaver, yeah. And pool,
definitely
skimmer.
A foreigner in Costa Rica.
Yeah, bunch of gringos.
So I was there because I wanted to make sure that I knew that the snake was still there, that it didn't just go somewhere else in the house.
Right, somewhere else.
Yeah, so I wanted to keep an eye on it, and I couldn't see it anywhere because it was in that track, and I didn't know if it had gone into the walls or who knows. So I ended up sending a little bit of video of it to our friend Arbase, who lives here in Uvita and is a local, and he came up and he's like, yeah, I'll be right there, no problem, I'll help you out. And he came up as soon as he could and got out of his truck with a pole and 2 machetes, and I was like, oh, he knows what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
all right. And he came down, and I had the pool skimmer, and he had the pole. And first thing we had to do was just like stop it from, like, get it out and stop it from moving. So it was still on the track. We got it out. We wrangled it between the two of us and stopped it. And then it kind of got loose a little bit, and we got it again. And then he just took the machete and just, I think it was 2 chops, you know, one near the head and one down on the body a little bit more. And then it was done.
Yeah, and I know that some people are going to be upset about the idea that we killed wildlife. The reason that we did is because it turns out that it was a fer de lance, which its bite can kill a grown man in a half an hour. And that's for a full-grown fer de lance, and this was a baby. And babies empty out all of their venom.
They have no control.
So even more dangerous. And
Yeah.
I can't have the most deadly snake in the country slithering around with all my babies and never knowing if they're about to get attacked.
And it's your responsibility, you know, just as, you know, a person, to, like, if you come across something like that, like, if you can't take care of it, you have to get somebody to take care of it, because if it just goes off, you know, to another house, you know, it could kill somebody. So, you know, yeah, we did confirm before anything that it was a fer de lance, and that's why I was terrified. And there was actually a gentleman up the road here that was bit and was hospitalized for like 2 months. So, you know, it's something you definitely want to be prepared for. It's not something that happens all the time. I feel like we hit Costa Rica's greatest hits with the tarantula and the protests and the fer de lance and like all this different stuff. We've hit like Costa Rica's greatest hits all at once. But, you know, it's not very common. The gentleman, Ken, who owns the house here, who lives up above, he said he's seen maybe 4 of them in the 6 years that he's been here. So it's not super common, but believe me, the very next day, went out and bought knee-high rubber boots and machete and made sure I was prepared for the next time. So that's about it for this video. You know, again, we kind of bounced around a lot. You know, we've only been here for 2 weeks, and then we had a few months lead up. So we talked about some of the stuff that happened in that few months lead up, talked about our trip down, talked about, you know, acclimating to the area over the last couple weeks that we've been here. There's a lot of other things that we've come across as far as like banking, buying property, buying vehicles, you know, travel and tourism, you know, all that kind of stuff. So we'll get into more of that in future videos, but I think leaving off with deadly poison snakes is probably a good high note to, to end on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so thank you for watching our first sort of jump around video on Costa Venturas, and we hope you enjoyed it. We hope it was helpful, and we'll continue doing more videos like this with more specific information going forward. But otherwise, we hope everyone's having a great day and living the pura vida.
You almost said living la vida loca.
I almost said living la vida loca. Yep. Right.
Anyway, gracias, mi amigas.
And mi amigos.
Sí. Buenos días.
We'll catch you later.